Hey, hi, hello. It's been a while with Christmas and with New Year's. Yeah, it's weird. First video back in 2020 though, so let's make it a good one. But I want to quickly touch on the fires that are affecting Australia. I'll pop a link down below to the Red Cross Foundation for helping out the people affected by the fires, as well as the firefighters themselves who are putting themselves out in danger to help protect and conserve the environment as well as the people affected. So make sure you hit that link down below. Do what you can to donate, even if it's $1. Everything counts. It's crazy here. The entire country's on fire, basically. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started with the video. Roll that intro, because we're not talking about fires today. So research from the Marine Biology Laboratory have stated that tidal wetlands are able to withstand increased sea level rise over time. And what this means is that they are able to sequester carbon from the atmosphere as sea levels increase, meaning they will prevail. They will outgrow, probably. They will just survive the increased sea level rise, which is happening according to this graph. According to the research, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But in this study, they've stated that although sea levels are increasing, the tidal wetlands are able to withstand this pressure that we are causing, basically. I wouldn't say causing, now that I think about it. I'd say enhancing or making a little bit worse. Making it unnatural. It's probably a better way to say it. Senior author Zhan Wu Tang, probably butchered that, I'm sorry, has stated that even though sea levels will continue to rise at different rates, sediment accrual rates in coastal wetlands will outpace sea level rise. In fact, the research states that tidal wetlands will in fact continue to sequester carbon and grow throughout all climate change scenarios. However, this is primarily based on the fact that if these tidal wetlands remain healthy, a healthy wetland means a healthy environment, which means a healthy atmosphere, which means they're able to take in more carbon and store it for longer. This research ultimately indicated that tidal wetlands provide a necessary, if not extremely important, buffer for the carbon in the atmosphere through sequestration. So let me just brief over the importance of tidal wetlands. This will include tidal marshes, salt marshes, and mangroves. These environments are estimated to sequester roughly 50% of the annual carbon concentration within the ocean, which is nuts to think about because they actually cover roughly 2% of the ocean's surface. They sequester carbon by locking it up below ground, as well as within living biomass above ground and within non-living biomass. This means that ultimately the carbon becomes stored over long periods of time, unlike their terrestrial counterparts. But the interesting thing about these environments is that they don't become oversaturated with carbon. Although you might think that because they store large amounts of carbon for long periods of time that they would build up. In fact, what happens here is that the sediment accretes vertically, meaning that these environments are able to take up more and more carbon and store it over a long period of time for long periods of time. Certain salt marshes or certain mangroves are able to sequester or lock up carbon in their environments below ground for 4,000 years. So the fact that they're allowed to lock up carbon below soil as well within living biomass and non-living biomass creates incredible longevity to the removal of carbon from the atmosphere, making them a great environment for decreased carbon emissions in the atmosphere. However, their effectiveness is only maintained if the environment maintains a healthy condition. This not only includes the salt marsh, mangroves, and the tidal marshes, it also includes their soils. If their environment is not healthy, then their effectiveness is lost, and ultimately the amount of carbon that they're allowed to take up diminishes. So we know that these wetlands are extremely important for locking up carbon from the atmosphere and ultimately decreasing the amount that's there. We also know that they are now able to withstand or prevail sea level rise where other environments may falter or fail. But the problem here is us. What the research found is that although these environments are extremely important, we're also destroying and or altering these very, very fragile but very necessary environments. Common and direct impacts caused by human influences include grading, removal of vegetation, construction, shifts in drainage patterns, as well as damming. Increased infrastructure upstream means that a lot of the lowland or low area streams become affected by sedimentation, and what happens there is that you get a plethora of new problems not only in the water but above the water. Other long-lasting effects on the structural integrity of the wetlands will include damming, the influence or input of industrial waste and municipal waste will overall ultimately alter the nutrient cycling as well as the habitat themselves, meaning that a lot of the animals that take up that area or require that area for, I'd say, as a nursery or as a breeding ground are not able to because the water quality is terrible. It also means that the area will probably die off because the nutrient cycling is altered, and if they can't adapt fast enough, they'll probably die, or the area will shrink, or it won't take up as much carbon as we need it to. However, there have been an increase in the governing and protection of tidal wetlands as the now understanding of their importance is getting across to a lot of people as a carbon sink. This means that in the future, a lot of these areas will probably be under protection, which is great because it means that we can now look at these areas as a main source of carbon uptake. So, in conclusion, what's happening here is that we've now noticed that these tidal wetlands not only take up large amounts of carbon from the atmosphere, but also cover a very small percentage of the ocean or Earth's ocean surface. We now know they're able to prevail sea level rise and continue to take up and or increase the amount that they take up from the atmosphere. So what this means is that these are an environment that can withstand, or may, I shouldn't say can, may withstand future sea level rises and continue to take up large amounts of atmospheric carbon and decrease the effects that we are having on the environment. The only issue here is that these areas need to be healthy, not just within the tidal marshes themselves, but as well as the soil and the non-living and the living animals that inhabit those places. So I hope you like that video. First video back, 2020. Starting off strong, starting off positive. With what's been going on with the environment currently. If you haven't been kept up to date, I'll chuck some stuff up here as I'm ending off the video. But yeah, I hope you guys like that. As I said, make sure you click the link down below and support those that are being affected by the fires in Australia, because it is nuts. Crazy. Make sure you hit the like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you share it around, I guess. Just share it to everyone. Why not? Make sure you educate, don't eradicate. Check out Cape Class, and I will see you guys for another video next week. Enjoy.